You're listening to Life FM. It is Scotty here with you tonight for another night of positive rap, hip hop, and R&B from the 90s all the way through to now. It's been a while since we last heard from tonight's guest. He's back after a 9 year stint with a full album, Midnight of a Good Culture, and to talk all things culture and society and all things hip hop, we're joined now by Sho Baraka. G'day, mate. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
The pleasure is all mine, and I really value and appreciate you spending some time here with us this evening. You were instrumental in shaping Christian hip hop culture as to where it is today, and obviously still contributing to the genre with your new album. But before we delve too deeply into Midnight of a Good Culture, I wanted to wind back a little bit to how it all started with you. You were raised in California, how you were introduced to hip hop, and how you connected with some of the original 116 guys.
Yeah. So, as you said, I grew up in California. I have two older brothers. My two older brothers obviously listened to music, and their music of choice was R&B and hip hop. And at a young age, it just influenced me. I fell in love with its audacity. I fell in love with its braggadocious style, the flair, the charisma. I probably at that time some of the language as well that probably wasn't good for a young man to be listening to. But I also love the fact that it gave voice to the people who were in my community who in ways that other music or art forms didn't quite give language to. But another reason why I loved hip hop art, kind of came into hip hop, is my mother used to make me read a lot of poetry from certain artists. And because of that, like this was just a natural transition into hip hop for me,
Yeah.
going from Langston Hughes to like the Tupacs and the Lauryn Hills was an easy transition. And so I began to start rapping myself once I got around 15, maybe a little bit before that, and got rather serious when I got to college around 18, 19. However, around that same time, I became a Christian. And so there was this real conflict around, is it still cool for me to rap? Like does Jesus like rap music?
I like to think
And
he
then,
does.
yeah, well, today I can with all I think certainty say that I think he affirms it as long as it doesn't offend his gospel.
Yes.
And so I met well, no, my brother introduced me to a group called the Cross Movement, and the Cross
Oh, yeah.
Movement just was so formative for me. And it was this wonderful nexus of people who could still take on the culture of hip hop and the way they dressed and the words that they used and their disposition, but you can tell it was redeemed. There was something distinctly different about the way that they did it versus some of the more popular groups in mainstream. And
Sure.
I loved it. I was in love with the fact that they were very thoughtful, that they were theological, that they still had that confidence that hip hop had. They weren't, I guess, coy about the truth and the information that they had, because oftentimes Christians can lose an edge about them.
Yeah.
And but there's a sense of power that Jesus gives us that is both humble and both very courageous, and they had that, and that shaped me and formed me in many ways. And so I began to rap after I took some time off, and I read and learned and just felt like I was at a place where I had something to communicate, because one of the things I didn't want to do is just talk about shooting demons and and fighting Satan. I was like, well, I can just take all the old raps and just, instead of cuss words, just replace them for, I guess
Yeah.
you can
Christian
say,
fighter.
yeah, exactly. And it's like I'm shooting these dudes, oh, I'm shooting these demons. It's like, I said, the people that I like, and not only in mainstream, I mean Christian hip hop, but in mainstream music, were people who are thoughtful, people
Mm.
who you knew they were preaching a message, but in some ways it could have been subversive, and they articulated their message in a way that was very convincing. And I
Mm.
wanted to be that. And in order for me to be that, I needed to know what I was talking about. And I didn't know anything about Christianity. So I said, I need to be discipled. I need to be a learned man. And so it took me a while to get to a place where I felt confident to actually make an album. And I didn't make my first album until 2007, which was Turn My Life Up. But I had met Lecrae, Tadashi, and Tripley, and the individuals who started the label, which is Reach Records and 116. I met them in college because we went to
Mm.
college together, and we were roommates. Not all of us, but myself, Lecrae, and Tadashi were roommates at one point in time. And it started off as just trying to reach the lost on our campus. We were part of a college ministry that my brother started, and from there, Lecrae was a little more serious about his pursuing his music career. And then once he made his first album, he encouraged us to join his his label, I guess you can say, or his movement. Well, the movement was already started, but he encouraged us to make music to aid the movement, if you will.
Sure. Yeah.
And that's kind of like how it all started. And we slowly but surely we just started releasing albums. And at first, it was just to reach our core influence within the areas in which we lived, the city in which we did ministry, and then it kind of spread to different states and in the country, and then we had a national audience, which is kind of crazy to think about.
Yeah, absolutely. Amazing what God can do. Especially, much respect to you, like taking that time instead of trying to fake it till you make it, actually sowing that seed and taking time to actually hone that first album and look at the harvest that it reaped. So definitely the right move. Can I just go back one step really quick? How did your family respond to your newfound faith, like going to college and becoming a Christian? How did that all go?
I was actually encouraged. So my father and my brother, so I had two older brothers, but my father and one of my older brothers, the one who's directly over me, had become Christians around the same time or before
Oh
me.
wow.
Like, and so it was actually because of their influence and tutelage that really led me to be a part of like Bible studies when I went to school, to be a part of discipleship groups. And so our family, up until the point of my father's death and my mother's death, everybody in our family were Christians. Um,
Oh,
and
that's
my
great.
mother came to faith later in her life, and my sister, who's younger than me, came to faith because she ended up coming to school with me. And so, funny story, she wanted to drive my car to the club, and I said, "Yeah, you can drive my car to the club, but you got to come to church with me on Sunday, the next day." And she's like, "All right, cool." And coincidentally, she never went to the club again. Well, she
Good
went to she's
strategy.
she's
Well
been to the
played.
club as an adult, but
Yeah, yeah.
she became a Christian actually, I think that Sunday, and was a part of our college ministry. So yeah, our family, man, the Lord really did a wonderful work through my brother who became a Christian, who pretty much evangelized and discipled me, which until we, influenced my relationship with my sister who came to the Lord. And then our oldest brother came to the Lord through a lot of prayer of my mom and through our just a lot of the relational component because we realized maybe preaching is not going to get him.
Mhm. Yeah.
We just need to love on him and show him the love of Jesus. And that was it was a wonderful thing to see him come to the Lord as well. So he was the last one in our family. So beautiful.
Oh, amazing. Absolutely. As I said, it's been 9 years since your last full album, and a lot has changed in the last 9 years. Like we all get
Absolutely.
older. We're in our 40s.
Yep.
So how does coming at this new album for you when it comes to the changes in the society and also maybe how we perceive society as we've aged and hopefully matured. What was that process like working on Midnight of a Good Culture?
Yeah. I think the Lord has gifted me with a keen sense of discernment, I think. And so, therefore, I oftentimes, because the rate of change is so intense in our society, things technology changes,
Mm.
things change so rapidly. There's also this incentive for music to be produced quickly, and to order to stay relevant, you must put out music, put out music, put out music. And I think the Lord has gifted me with this ability of intentional slowness and presence when it comes to art that allows me to stop and pay attention to what's happening. And when I make music that I think is appropriate for the time, it's not to write the coattails of hot topics, nor is it to ride the wave of relevance. It's truly to be a voice in the wilderness, to speak
Mm.
truth to power, to speak truth to the zeitgeist. And I don't think you're able to do that if you're consistently trying to keep up with the hurry of our culture and production. And so I will say that's one thing that has changed, especially since like the early 2000 or 2010s, where streaming was strong, but people still kind of consume music through listening to albums and not necessarily just playlists.
Mm.
And now it's very rare for people to listen to full albums and to engage full albums. Artists don't really even think about making albums anymore. They just
No.
make like singles and collections of
Yeah,
songs and
little
then
little
release them.
EPs or something. Mm.
Exactly, in EPs. And so for me, I was very intentional saying, I want to make an album. And even that in a way is countercultural today. But then
Mm.
you also think about the fragmentation of our culture in America, the political polarization. I wanted to speak to that. I wanted to speak to racial tension. I wanted to
Yeah.
speak to the advancements of technology in ways that I think is damaging relationships. There's just so much that you could talk to. First of all, there's not a shortage or a scarcity of things to address, but it's about how do you how do you do that well? And
Yeah.
so, and as I get older, to your point, I also know the challenge is I am a generation that is no longer the the forerunners of this thing we call hip hop.
Mm.
And so there's a tension there to try to extend adolescence or to stay relevant and make music for 19-year-olds, 20-year-olds, and 25-year-olds. And I think I want my music to reach them, but I
Mm.
also know there's a maturing, as you say, a maturing audience that wants to listen to music about marriage and
Hey, I'm one of them.
children.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly. And so that was intentional. Like, so you have songs like 40 and Up and Phyllis Wheatley,
Mhm,
and
mhm.
I just wanted to make songs that I felt like I would want to listen to if somebody made an album that I appreciated. And it's not that just because I'm in my 40s, I have to make music that sounds like I'm still in my 20s.
Uh, Listening to the album, I could tell there was such consideration, and what you were putting out there was very deliberate, and it almost felt like it was constructed rather than just it's like it built one upon another, and I really appreciated what you've sewn into, and yeah, it was definitely worth the 9 year wait. Let me put it that way. So,
Oh,
if
thank
we
you very
could
much.
maybe drill down into some of the individual songs. And I'll actually start with the tribute to your mother. We were talking about your mum before, Donna at 12:15 p.m. Such a wonderful tribute, and listening to the contributions from your family members and the mentioning of your family. Take us a little bit through that because that wasn't even going to be on the album originally. Am I right?
No, it wasn't. No, yeah, she passed away in April. And
I'm
so
sorry.
I wanted to make a song to honor her because I just felt like that was the best way for me to process the grief and the pain was to communicate and not just to sit and ponder. Is like, how do I talk about this? How do I write and create around this? How do I process this through the ways in which I think are healthy for me? And so I went to the studio, made the song, and the individual who produced the song, a brother named X, he at the end of the song, once it was all done, he said, "Man, this needs to be on the album." And I said, "Yeah, I think I agree." And so yeah, it was the last song. And so So when I think about, yeah, my mom is a reason why I'm in the arts. Not that she was artistic, but she definitely encouraged me to be creative. She introduced me to so many wonderful luminaries that had a great impact on my life. She's the reason I care so much about justice issues. She's just a huge, indelible part of my life. And as I said on the song, it grieves me that it I had to wait till after she died to make a song about her. And so yeah, it's just that song is very special. And my brother, who is on the song before that, leads me into that song. So he closes out Shadow of Shame and
Mm.
then leads into Donna. And so it was also beautiful to allow him to give honor to my mother as well.
Absolutely. And you mentioned those luminaries. For those that are listening on audio, can't see the beautiful little study nook you've got there, and some of those
Yeah.
people of influence behind you. I can see C.S. Lewis and a number of others. There's a reference to Lauryn Hill over your shoulder, I think. Sorry, I can't really
Yep.
quite make everybody out, but obviously a huge
So
impact on a lot of that. Oh, there we go.
you got Frederick Douglass, you got
Yes,
Toni Morrison, George Washington Carver, Zora Neale Hurston. You got, and then there's a collection of
yes.
multiple people up here. One of you had like Phyllis Wheatley, MLK,
Mhm.
Chesterton, Mahalia Jackson. So yeah, lots of people.
One of the songs, and forgive me, I don't have the name on me, has a real reference to a lot of these luminaries that you mentioned, and the Harlem culture that you grew up admiring as well.
Yes. I'm drawing a blank. I'm not sure what song you're talking about, but yeah, there's
It's got the
oh,
names
Langston and Baldwin.
Langston and
Langston
thank
and
you.
Baldwin.
Yes, Langston and Bowles.
Langston and Baldwin is what you yep. So yeah, that's a song featuring Propaganda, a friend of mine. And when I think about the the types of individuals that like Langston Baldwin, Langston Hughes and James Baldwin, the types of individuals they were, oftentimes we know them for their creative work, but they also were, I guess you can say, curators of culture, social sociologists, if you were, in their own way, professors in a way. And I think myself and Prop, we like to think of ourselves as progenies of that particular, I guess you could say, lineage, because we are creatives. We make art, we write poetry, write songs, but we also are both have taught in university settings, but we also speak to culture in ways that we would like to think are pushing towards better human flourishing. And
Yeah.
so when I think about the prophet poet dynamic, I just think about Langston Hughes and James Baldwin. And I'm hoping that I am kind of following in that particular trajectory. And so
Mm.
that's why I thought about that song. And I said, man, there's no other person I think I can do the song with than Propaganda.
Mm. Yeah, love Prop, a friend of the show, and we had an amazing conversation, and I can see a lot of similarities between both of you and the way that you think and go about things. So a fantastic connection there. Look, I'm conscious of time, so I'll look at wrapping things up really shortly. But we've got a couple of songs that we're going to feature tonight from the album, including Might Not Go and New Nostalgia. Is there anything you wanted to mention about either of those tracks before we spin them?
They're both great songs. They both
Perfect.
go
That's the endorsement I need.
hard. Uh, I think just a nod to the golden age of hip hop that
Mm,
doesn't feel too dated. And so especially like with Might Not Go, the homage to the spirituals and remakes, the remix and remake of a Negro spiritual. I got shoes, you got shoes, all of God's people got shoes. Everybody talk about heaven ain't going. And so the boom bapness, but then new nostalgia, obviously, for any hip hop listener who can know that this is an interpolation of "Oh Dirty Bastard," "Ooh Baby I Like It Raw," "Shimmy Shimmy Ya." And so, yeah, I just think those songs, I'm trying to talk about something deep, but I'm also, if I'm honest, just trying to show that I can rap still. that I still got bars. Old
You
man still
you
got
still got
bars.
it. You still got it. Speaking of, I'm going to leave with one last very important question. There was a viral video a couple of years ago. I think you know where this is going. Of you and your wife in your backyard. You were in sandals. We might call them thongs or flip-flops, and you were wanting to try and hop your fence, and it didn't go according to plan. I think we all kind of knew as soon as you took off, and it was, oh, my knees. I'm pretty sure. So my first question is, how you going, and have you been able to best that fence?
um, so Scott, I don't know what you're talking about. That
Oh,
video
okay. I must be
is
confused.
fake. Yeah, that's
It's
AI
AI.
is very impressive these days. So don't believe everything you see on the internet.
Sure, sure.
But if it was me, I would say that he did take a second chance and he did best it.
Oh,
And
good.
but that, of course, nobody watches that video.
No, no one knows about that one.
No one knows about that one. We love failure. We don't love success. But no, I am doing well. It was a wonderful. My wife has sabotaged me in my life. She didn't tell me she was going to be posting it on social media. And so it's crazy how that happened, I think 2.5 years ago.
Mm,
And every now and then, like every 6 months, it just pops back
pops
up.
up again.
Some big, I guess, like fail platform posts it and just folks are like, "Hey, show, is this you?" And I'm like, "Yeah." So now I don't even respond. I just kind of I just let it exist and die.
If people aren't familiar with what we're talking about, you do have a video referencing it, even though it's not you, on your Instagram, and a bit of a follow up as well. And it's obviously also a good place for people to find out what's going on with your music. I mentioned actually previously, and I'll mention it really briefly now. There was a real touching video that is pinned at the top of your Instagram, based around a couple of your boys and some of the challenges that you've had through their lives. And that really touched me with my journey with my own family and my son with special needs. So, yeah, definitely want people to go and check that out, and might as well watch you trying to hop a fence while they're at it, right?
Yeah, watch both of them, and you'll probably cry and laugh, and that's good. You'll get a wide range of emotions.
And what's the best place for people to go and check all that out and keep across everything that you're up to, mate?
So you can go to my full name is Amisho. It's Amisho. It's like Am I Show Sho Baraka, and so you can check me out on all social media platforms, and then YouTube as well, or Sho Baraka actually show. And yeah, that's me.
Perfect. Man, it's been a real pleasure. I feel like we could have kept talking for a lot longer, but
Absolutely.
I'm just conscious of um, taking away from your family. But I really appreciate what you've been able to give to us tonight, and hopefully, maybe down the line, we can reconnect another time and hear more from you. You're such a font of wisdom, and I could just sit under that learning tree for such a long time. But what you've given us
Mm.
today, and what you've also blessed us with the album Midnight of a Good Culture, is phenomenal. So thank you so much, and we're really appreciative of your time today.
Thank you so much, and you have a wonderful day.